What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Sports Talk on Tap video. We're here. You can find daily uploads Monday through Friday covering all the major sports, whether it be NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, games, highlights, news, tier lists, all that fun stuff. We're here. And in today's episode, it's a bittersweet day because we do have our Stanley Cup champion. It went the distance in what was a great game. Not your typical, or not typical, but, not like, your most high scoring game, but it was a really good hockey game. And boy, but it was the last game of the NHL season, no matter what, though. So it's, it sucks, but we do have our champion, the Florida Panthers, and huge congrats to Florida. The narratives around this, if it said Edmonton wins the series 4-3, would have been brutal. But they avoided Florida, probably the most just obviously dominant team throughout the playoffs. They took care of the Lightning in 5. The Bruins was a 6-game series. Didn't really feel like 6 games, if you know what I mean. And then Rangers, Florida dominated almost every game of that series as well, and it went 6 games. But, Florida deserved it. I think the most complete team in the playoffs. And in this game, what I was looking for, and I believe I was saying yesterday, was what I was most curious about was the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game. And Florida just came out swinging, hitting, just being a lot more physical, setting the tone. And it was good. Carter Verhaeghe got the first goal on a beautiful tip. Right through Skinner's legs. It was good to see him get going because he obviously, was kind of struggling this series. I think he even got demoted on the power play. I saw that. So it was kind of, Florida was doing whatever they could to, change things up to get a spark. And they were able to do it today. But what made the Oilers, Nick, in my opinion, so good was just how quickly they could turn a table. Florida dominated that first 10 minutes. It was 1-0. Then Edmonton catches Florida sleeping, clean breakaway goal. And then it was all that work Florida had put in. It's just tied again. And it was a grind the rest of the game. I feel like the first 2 periods, in my opinion, was mostly Florida. And then once Sam Reinhart got a goal, late in the second period, it seemed like the last 10 minutes of that third period, Edmonton had all the chances in the world. I think it was that one off of Bobrovsky's leg. You can see Hyman, he just can't get if he just even gets a stick on it, it's probably a tip in, and just some huge block shots. Florida's defense really worked there, and Edmonton gave them all they could. But the last 2 minutes, we didn't, even with the goalie pull. Edmonton just looked gassed. McDavid, Draisaitl. But for Edmonton, you weren't going to win the series if Draisaitl didn't show up. It was you needed him to at least show up and do something one game. He couldn't, and that's just the way it is, especially on top of McDavid not doing any, scoring tonight. So, it stinks, but it was a great series. And, Florida now, Reinhart, game-winning goal, will be a free agent. See where he goes. Does he re-sign? What happens? But, they're obviously not thinking about that right now. They're just going to celebrate, enjoy their parade in Edmonton. You're going to maybe make some changes, but obviously you got your core here that can obviously get you two goals away from the Stanley Cup win.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to just say I tip my cap to Florida's defense, and they had to show up in this game because they weren't showing up, the last 3 games, and it ended up going 7. But when they had to, they absolutely shut McDavid down. And I'm seeing people all over the place saying, 0 points in the elimination game, blah, blah, blah. It's every time he had the puck, there was at least 3 guys swarming him. And that's a credit to the Panthers defense. And they had a game plan against him, and they executed it perfectly. And nobody around McDavid really stepped up. You just said Draisaitl did not show up in this series. No matter, he had 1 decent game in Game 6, and I still think he only had 1 or 2 points. And this game, he had plenty of opportunities to show up, and he never did. And really, nobody did other than Janmark on that breakaway, and that was kind of just caught Florida sleeping moment. It's not like he went out and got it. Like there was so many opportunities that they just didn't take. But again, hats off to the Florida defense. They played incredible. Bobrovsky came back into his own. I thought he was going to win the Conn Smythe. I was surprised that McDavid won it. I understand why he won it, but I was surprised. I thought Bobrovsky was going to get it. Usually the winning team gets it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I think for Florida, like I didn't really care who won that. Connor McDavid really doesn't care who won that. I think
Right, exactly.
Florida's just happy for the win, and it was just, and I think that's a credit to Florida for how good they were because it was a different guy stepping up every game and every series that they won. If it was like a Finals MVP, I would have probably given it to Barkov of the Panthers. Overall, the whole playoffs though might have been Bobrovsky, but he showed up when they need him. Bobrovsky made some huge saves in this one. After the last year, I was looking concerned. Maybe he just is gassed and can't get this last win because the last win's the toughest win. But they showed a lot of resilience, and Edmonton really battled back. But it is still a slight concern, even though they were literally one game away when you have to try to out McDavid. And I get why they did it for 25, 30 minutes, but when it came time to pull the goalie, they were gassed. They didn't even get a shot off at that point because they were just so tired.
They couldn't skate.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, what a game though. I mean, it was exciting. It looked like maybe early on because we got the goals. Edmonton answered pretty quickly after Florida's goal, so it looked like maybe it was going to be a shootout type game. But Florida's guys for Hagee, Reinhart, who was kind of a ghost most of the series, obviously stepped up. Kachuk still didn't, do much, in this one, but he contributed throughout the series at different points. But Florida needed it. It was just them diving around, making the scrappy plays that won them this game. And now, for Florida, it's pretty much easier said than done. But just run this thing back and see where it goes. If you can keep Reinhart, great. If not, you'll see what happens. They're still going to be a good to great team next year. So, I'm not worried about that. But it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Like we said, after that game 6, when Edmonton did make it 3-3, nobody's going to care if you lose in the end. And as soon as that buzzer sounded and Florida celebrating, nobody cared that they forced a game 7 because they didn't win.
Oh, yeah.
It was the same thing as the Celtics last year. They forced a game 7 after being down 3-0, lost the last game. Nobody cares. So you just go in the record books as another loss. You go in the record books as another runner-up. And my worry with Edmonton is I'm not sure if they can make it back. They kind of hit their stride and got hot at the right time in the playoffs. They were going down in series and then just getting hot. And, I mean, I know they have McDavid. I know Skinner was playing pretty good throughout the playoffs. He had some moments, but I don't know if they can get back because, I mean, they're going to have some guys who want to get paid. They just look too inconsistent to me, and I think the West is pretty good. Hockey in general, is pretty good. East and West both have, really good teams on either side. And I just don't know if Edmonton matches up against those teams.
It's a grind. Which is why I was so impressed Florida, after losing in the finals last year, was able to do it this time. It's a grind to get back here. And so, respect to them. Yeah, but it's going to be tough. I mean, because Edmonton, does your penalty kill get this hot against a Dallas Stars team again? And, another playoff series, all that kind of stuff. But, credit to the Oilers, obviously. Still was a great season, regardless of how you look at it. Western Conference champs. Now they, just kind of try and get over that hump. And you still got McDavid. You still got Draisaitl. But, boy, I mean, it sucks. Draisaitl, did he have one goal in these finals? I don't think so.
He might have had one. But that's that goes to show a guy like Draisaitl who scores, 40, 50 goals a year. We shouldn't be saying he maybe had one goal in the series. He just slowed down. They showed his numbers last night on the telecast or whatever, and just every series his numbers went down. He had 14 points the first series, 10 the next.
Yeah.
Then it went to 5, and I think he had 3 points in the series.
No goals in the finals for Draisaitl. So that's not going to win you a series, even against a great Florida team. So overall, they were looking for him too. He had a couple chances. Edmonton as a whole was so close to banging on the door of scoring with like 5 minutes left. I thought it was going to be a tie game, but
Yeah, me too.
it said otherwise.
I think we have to actually, before we end, I think we have to address something else too. We have to pay our respects, or at least I do.
Oh, I was gonna save this for tomorrow. But yeah, we can talk about it now.
We can talk about it more tomorrow. But I as a Boston Bruins fan, owe it to Allmark to say that I speak as every Bruins fan that we say thank you. He was unbelievable here since we really got him. Won a Vezina, had that, crazy goalie goal, led the team to that crazy regular season run. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round. He was, I know, dealing with injuries and just kind of tired out. But this trade, we can talk about it more tomorrow. I know some fans
from what I've seen on TikTok from like hockey creators that don't really have any bias, it seems like a good trade for the Senators, a bad trade for the Bruins is what
that's what I'm seeing from most of the people. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe they flip this because Junis Korpisalo, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, people
might
didn't like
flip
that.
him.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. Because I mean, they just re-signed one of their like younger prospect goalies who was pretty good, like in their minor league system. This shows that we can expect Swayman to get an extension pretty soon. Because if they trade Allmark and then don't re-sign Swayman, the fans are going to be calling for Sweeney's head. So.
Yeah, and like one of those tweets says, "End of an era, no more hugs." That was a nice little tradition they had. But yeah, he knew an Allmark trade was going to come. Senators now making that move to try and get even better. And Allmark's a really good goalie, so congrats to them. And it didn't seem like they had to give up much. So with that being said, yeah, Florida Panthers champions. We'll dive more into it, but already trades are being made. Hockey free agency and the draft also quickly approaching within the next week, all that fun stuff. So that'll be good. Obviously, we'll be here to recap, whatever happens throughout the offseason. But boy, what a fun playoffs that was. And we're here to cover it, and we'll be here to cover all the offseason. But make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.